Welcome to Your Good News. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. This is a show dedicated to nothing but things that will make you smile or at least help you find hope and faith in humanity. The world is sometimes a rough place, and often we just need to hear some of the good things going on. Well, school is out for summer, but a group of seniors that just graduated from Benilde St. Margaret's is leaving behind a legacy of kindness. Their club raised nearly $19,000 over 2 years to create gift bags for kids. And as Audrey Russo explains, it's the club's ringleader who knew exactly what to include.
The change from normal kid
I was sitting in class
to cancer patient,
and I knew the second that phone rang.
is a hard shift.
Oh no. And next thing you know, I'm at the University of Minnesota in one of their hospitals.
The transition would have been much harder
I spent the remainder of my freshman year at home.
had Annika Olsen not been gifted
Yes, this is just for Augie.
the perfect cushion.
My parents came in with this bag that one of my friends had dropped off, and they gave this to me.
The Squishmallow plush started as a source of comfort.
I did not let it out of my sight for the next 3 months. I took it to every doctor's appointment.
By sophomore year,
I was healthy and in a better spot.
the Benilde St. Margaret student saw inspiration.
So this is what I would say a very typical bag that we give.
Annika and her friend Katie started Caring for the Courageous, a club that assembles care packages for kids in the hospital.
I just wanted to kind of give a similar experience to what I got.
There's another reason why each bag they make
Yeah, it's a cow.
includes the popular keepsake.
Everyone knows what they are. They come with some sort of status to them as being cool or what's kind of on trend.
Just to know that a kid is getting something that they've maybe seen on TikTok or whatever, and to know that they're just as special as anyone else really makes a difference.
A connection to what's all the rage,
Specifically the Squishmallows.
softening the blow of isolation.
Yeah, they're definitely our most popular items.
Claire Vanderhyde
I'm a child life associate.
sees how it clicks for her patients.
Yeah, providing comfort items, their face just lights up. I think that it's just kind of a exciting little gift.
That's what we got the most positive reviews of at the time.
There's a lot of ways to help a kid through a rough situation, but
But this worked great for us.
sometimes the softest support
This was one thing that I just loved.
is feeling like you fit in.
We're trying to give them something that lets them know that they're not alone. You're just like any other kid, even if you're going through something really hard at that time.
In the coming days, a group of Minnesota students who won a statewide Braille competition will measure their skills against the best in the world. The International Braille Challenge is the ultimate test for visually impaired students who use the code to read and write. And for one local girl, it's nothing new. In fact, you might even remember her. Here's Kent.
If you think you have an appetite for new challenges,
Close enough. Looks great.
try measuring up to Sloan Peterson. She obtained her cottage baking license at 10 years old
Chocolate chips.
while living with a visual impairment.
Vanilla.
And if you think reading a cookbook in Braille is impressive, we need to skip back a few pages.
Okay. Here's the first chapter.
We first met Sloan and her mom
Dragons
Danica
in
back
the
in
sky.
2022.
Wondered.
Sloan has a brain tumor on her optic nerve. She is completely blind in her right eye. Her left eye tests somewhere between 2400 and 2800.
Good to be outside.
Instead of dwelling on her impairment, Sloan studied Braille and turned it into a superpower. She was one of just 50 finalists for the International Braille Challenge in 2022. And earlier this year, she won her age group in the first ever state competition.
Braille Challenge.
Now she's once again an international finalist
Speed and accuracy.
and hoping to crack the top 3 with some extra practice.
It's called Speed and Accuracy. It's my personal least favorite, so thank you for making me do my homework.
But if you think this is the only challenge she's taken on in the past 3 years,
A tactile Rubik's Cube.
think again.
And you can solve it just like any other Rubik's Cube, so.
Are you a little competitive?
Yes.
Sloan grew to balance that edge with a few extra scoops of sweetness. Last year, turning her love of baking into a fundraiser for the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center that really added up.
Almost $500, I think.
And this year, she's turning those recipes
Well, this is the final print project.
into her very own cookbook.
She interviewed a couple local authors about their experience and recruited some people to help test the recipes.
She also typed out a special version in Braille.
There are 15 recipes in here.
And her school helped her print enough copies for every Braille reader interested in following her lead.
Like any other hobby, there's challenges to it, but in this case, I think the payoff is worth it.
For Sloan, the payoff is more than a tasty treat or a printed book.
I feel like people think that visually impaired people can't do it, which sort of makes me want to prove them wrong.
And you got that Rubik's Cube solved, so you can do that too.
Yeah, that's one of the easier things I've figured out, but...
You know, she's kind of stopped surprising me, because she can kind of do everything, but it's a lot of fun.
It's also
Pretty good going.
one more sweet challenge complete.
Sloan will be joined by 3 other students in Los Angeles at the end of the month. Congrats to Elizabeth from Prior Lake, Colton from New Ulm, and Mila from Blaine, who will all compete in the youngest age group. Sloan, who is from Andover, will be our state's only competitor in her age group. In total, there are just 50 students, K through 12, that are invited to compete, so it is a very big deal. And of course, the end of the school year brings back memories of a special 4th grade class that we featured 8 years ago in the Land of 10,000 Stories. Tonight, we have a wonderful update. But first, Boyd Hupert shares the original emotional story of Owen and the Paper Cranes.
Is everybody unpacked and ready for the day?
Listen. Listen closely. That sound coming from down the hall at Carondelet Catholic School is compassion.
It's become a normal noise in room 101.
Normal. In a year that's been anything but.
It was really scary for me.
Isabella Hobbs
Yeah.
wasn't the only one scared.
I was just scared about Owen, because...
Owen.
Yeah.
Owen Girton, their 4th grade classmate, found himself mid-school year in the battle of his life.
Owen was diagnosed on November 4th of 2016 with a brain AVM, which is a tangle of blood vessels in the brain that will eventually rupture.
Maria and Chris, Owen's parents, were scared too, for the worst possible reason.
Our niece, she was 14.
Their niece, Owen's cousin, Sawyer, died 2 months before Owen was diagnosed with the very same condition.
Had his burst, it would have been catastrophic, it would have been fatal, and it would have been instant.
Plans were already in the works for Owen's trip to Boston Children's Hospital.
Our classroom didn't feel like a class without Owen.
When teacher Kristen Rafferty
It was very hard.
read to the class an excerpt from a book about a Japanese girl with leukemia on a quest to fold 1,000 paper cranes.
As soon as we finished reading the story, one of my girls raised her hand. She was like, Miss Rafferty, can we make 1,000 paper cranes for Owen? I was like, absolutely.
We made them a lot. We made them at Read Aloud, we made them at morning meetings.
They made them at lunch, at recess, at home.
Our daily bread.
They made them at prayers, clutching Owen's teddy bear, who came to class each day in a school uniform to hold Owen's place.
You don't know what condition your son's going to come back in. And in hindsight, I just think it was important not to have not to have an empty chair.
I knew with this class that academics for a while needed to take a backseat. And maybe they weren't learning science, and maybe they weren't learning math, but they were learning compassion.
The first crane the children folded in Owen's favorite color sat next to the hospital bed in Boston as Owen recovered from 17 hours of surgery. And the rest filled their classroom with color.
It's a rainbow.
The splendid February day when Owen returned.
Thank you for everything. You're welcome.
3 months later,
Happy Tuesday, Madeline.
as the school year winds down,
Happy Tuesday, Madeline. Happy Tuesday.
Owen
Happy Tuesday, Isabel.
sits beneath the cranes, folded for him.
We couldn't have known back in August, that God was kind of handpicking Owen's, teacher, and those classmates.
I love you all, and I am so proud of you. And as much as I wish you could stay, it is time for you to go.
School years like this
You're gonna be fine.
come once in a lifetime.
They're so special.
1,000 cranes,
Have a great summer.
a bear, and a boy.
Owen, great summer.
And a class,
Oh.
both ready to fly and reluctant to let go.
Summer. Need one more hug. Okay.
Boyd Hooper, KARE 11 News, Minneapolis.
Have a wonderful summer.
I will.
Owen's class moved on, eventually winding up at several different high schools, but class members have continued to gather to mark the anniversary of Owen's diagnosis. Owen moved to Benilde St. Margaret's High School, where he played basketball, lacrosse, and football. Last week, he graduated as the recipient of the school's Faith in Action Board. Owen plans to attend Iowa State University, and check this out. Owen's fourth grade teacher, Miss Rafferty, she attended his grad party. Coming up, if cats had 9 lives, you're about to meet one that used most of them to survive an unusual journey. Plus, what has become an unusual tradition near the Lake of the Isles? But first, here's some of your good news that you shared with us this week. Dave Wright from Roseville says, Lynn Larkin Wright, my wife, put up this hummingbird feeder the other day. We had a visitor shortly after putting it up. Now, those little buddies are just the cutest, and I love to watch them. They're just so fun.
And they buzz by you. It sounds awesome.
Yeah. Gary Harder says, with the upcoming Friday the 13th, here's a picture of my girlfriend Jill's good luck charm named BB. She's showing what she thinks to all the haters out there. Little tongue out. We're with you, BB. Black cats are awesome.
It's Friday the 13th this Friday.
I know. How about that? Welcome back. How about this for a wild ride? Companion Animal Care and Control works in Minnesota and western Wisconsin and was surprised to hear a tiny survivor that traveled across the world in the most unusual way. Jessica Hart has the story.
At Northwoods Humane Society.
This is our adoptable cat space.
Saturdays.
Oh, you're purring. All your siblings get adopted.
Are for the cats.
We had a lot of kittens available starting yesterday, so we've been pretty busy yesterday and today.
Renee Root, the animal shelter's executive director, says more than 20 cats are up for adoption.
So this is her.
But not the one who traveled thousands of miles.
You're doing really good, sweetheart.
Renee got a call from Companion Animal Control earlier this week about a cat found in Oakdale with an unusual tale.
A shipping container from China that they opened and found a cat inside.
A cat who lived in darkness for 3 weeks.
They suspect that she survived on whatever food she could find in there and condensation, from in the shipping container. The fact that she made it is kind of a miracle.
A miracle, learning to live in the light.
She is still really, really scared, but what's interesting is her eyes have been like this since she got here, and she's blinking, and a slow blink from a cat is a sign of them being okay. Oh, sweetheart. The goal is to get her to a point where she's healthy and can be adopted and find her a family.
Healthy, so she can move to the adoption room and claw her way into somebody's heart.
As you can imagine, that little one is very thin, so she will need to gain some weight before she can go home with someone. The Minnesota Zoo is buzzing with excitement over their newest addition. Work began just last week on the first ever dedicated pollinator path at the zoo. The 4-year partnership with Bachman's is designed to be a living classroom to learn about supporting our local ecosystem. Laura and Bobby got a sneak peek.
This week, we're learning all about a brand new garden being planted by Bachman's here at the Minnesota Zoo.
What is the plan for getting all these plants in the ground?
We are so excited to embark on the first ever pollinator garden called the Buzz and Bloom Garden here at the Minnesota Zoo that Bachman's has curated the plants for and will be doing all of the planting.
So we really have a unique opportunity here in the Twin Cities to be able to be supporting little treasures that exist in our backyards that we don't even necessarily know are there. For instance, the endangered rusty patched bumblebee, Minnesota's state bee. We can find it right here on the Minnesota Zoo grounds, but also uniquely it happens in the residents of backyards of the Twin Cities. This includes flowers that'll be blooming in all seasons. Those bumblebees that are coming out of hibernation right now, these first flowers are their most important food of the year, and we're missing that. Columbine, dogwoods, choke cherries, serviceberry that we're going to be having in a new Buzz and Bloom garden. We can be putting in these little pockets here at the Minnesota Zoo, but these same opportunities can be generated in home gardens, helping to connect the dots between these little spaces.
We will have the Buzz and Bloom collection available at all retail stores, but we're making it even more simple as well, where we have seed packets that are complimentary, one per guest, please. But there's seed packets that you can plant with your own family and create your own pollinator garden. What better place to see it than the zoo?
And you can see the garden planted right now at the Hannafil Nature Center inside the Minnesota Zoo.
A tradition like no other at Lake of the Isles in Minneapolis, the community got together for the 4th annual pencil sharpening ceremony. And if you think sharpening a pencil cannot be a party, well, you would be sorely mistaken. Sammy Solina shows us how.
It is the 4th annual pencil sharpening here at Lake of the Isles, and I gotta say, people here are looking pretty sharp. The 20-foot pencil certainly sticks out among the oaks in the neighborhood. It actually was one at one point, but a storm damaged the tree. And then artist Curtis Ingolstad turned it into a sculpture. Homeowners John and Amy Higgins said the oak turned pencil stood for 100 years.
We figured when we commissioned him to do it, we figured we'd start to sharpen it every year, because why not? It's a living sculpture. But yeah, we figured we might be doing it for 50 or 100 people. Never expected this crowd. It's kind of like cheering for a sports team, but it's a pencil. It's kind of a crazy time we're living in, and it gives people a little diversion, a little bit of fun, and time to, let loose and be silly, which we need that in life.
Don't worry, it is an annual event, so if you didn't get to it this year, don't worry, you can pencil it in for next year. Sammy Solina, KARE 11 News.
Still to come, perseverance in sports for the most challenging of reasons. 2 stories of inspiration coming up next. But first, here's more of your good news that you shared with us this week. Cheryl Buchter says her son Alex and his gorgeous bride Anissa were married Saturday, May 31st in a beautiful outdoor ceremony. This picture is just stunning. Look how happy they are. Congrats on the start of your new life together. And Maureen Plunkett from Minneapolis sent in this video saying our 5-year-old doggie Louise loves to say, "I love you." Take a listen.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Well, now I want to hear this every day.
I know, right? Don't we all wish our dogs could say I love you? I guess they show us in other ways, though, right? And Louise, you are a sweetheart, though. Welcome back. The National Veterans Wheelchair Games are headed to Minneapolis next month. While it has been around for nearly a half a century, it's only the second time in 20 years that the local VA has hosted this event. Ian Russell had a chance to catch up with some vets in training.
You don't often hear this outside a hospital.
All right, let's go and just serve around.
But this is no ordinary hospital. And these are no ordinary people.
I couldn't even see it because I got no vision on this side.
For Bruce Henderson, new experiences,
Probably the last 2 years I was in the military, I ended up injuring my back.
Are part of life.
So I fall a lot, which has created TBIs and a few other enjoyable things.
Part of what brought him here.
It's a journey, so you know what? Take the good with the bad.
The highs and the lows of life don't come unless you open up.
I'm trying softball this year, so it's going to be interesting.
What better way to do that than in front of a crowd?
It's the ability to let go of what all your worries are, and you just go and enjoy.
For the first time in 20 years, the Twin Cities are hosting the National Veterans Wheelchair Games, a chance for injured veterans to compete and connect.
Yeah, it's the camaraderie. It's almost like going back in time when you're in the military.
From pickleball to bocce ball.
Yeah, you're getting good.
To everything in between.
We get to see, people kind of at their worst, and this is when we get to see them back at their finest.
A chance to get back out there.
This event is just an incredible way for our veterans to get back out and return back to life.
More than just a game.
Everybody here is a team.
A chance to enjoy life outside the hospital.
Bass fishing's probably my favorite. Bad day of fishing's better than a good day of work.
In Minneapolis, Ian Russell.
Nice shot.
KARE 11 News.
I felt good on that one.
As Ian mentioned, there is a need for community volunteers to help out with the games. There are opportunities for adults and kids ages 10 and up to greet veterans at the airport and to help with setup and registration. You can find a link to sign up within this story on KARE11.com. Osseo senior Gavin Stahl graduated recently. The Orioles senior athlete perseveres through another huge milestone in his life without his two biggest fans. Will Hall has Gavin's story.
If a picture could tell a story,
you can see in the picture they're both glowing there. That's just one of my favorite pictures of both of them.
Then this picture of Josh and Tammy Stahl tells a story of perseverance.
I'm so grateful that our family is strong and our family has, stayed together.
Together, through thick and thin, no matter what.
Even if you're not blood related, you are still family. And I feel like my family's grown a lot more because of this.
Osseo senior midfielder Gavin Stahl's story is one no other high school senior should have to endure.
This doesn't happen every day.
But he doesn't have to do it alone. With his high school athletic career winding down, Gavin's senior night honors more than him or any achievements with a stick in his hand.
It was obviously a tough day. It was a fun night, fun game, but definitely was missing a piece.
Good luck tonight.
Gavin's parents, Josh and Tammy, were at every game that Gavin and his brother Blake ever played in.
You could describe both of them as like the light in a dark room.
In the dark of an early November night, Josh and Tammy were involved in a car accident in Verona, Wisconsin. No one survived in the accident. Their light, their love, suddenly gone.
I didn't believe it, if I'm being honest. It took a while for me to believe it. It was definitely like the worst day of my life. I don't think I can physically put a measure on how much I miss them. I just know there's a piece of me that's not with me anymore.
That's not something you can put in words. I don't think any of us have really grasped.
Gavin's two aunts, including Josh's twin, Melissa Mound, are now Gavin's guardians as he finishes his senior year.
They have really been a rock for me and my brother, and I owe everything to both of them.
As Gavin's final high school chapter closes, he looks forward to a future playing football with Blake at the University of Sioux Falls.
There's no one else on the planet that I love more than him.
A future chapter Gavin now navigates with help from above.
He had incredible parents, and I think that's quite clear in how he's led through this last few months and will continue to move through the rest of his life.
I want to make them proud in everything I do.
A future Josh and Tammy will watch over proudly as Gavin uses the lessons they left him with to persevere.
They're still with me. I know that they were there. They're up there watching over me.
In Osseo.
In every aspect of my life, I know they're still there.
Will Hall. KARE11 Sports.
Gavin is headed to Sioux Falls next year, and he will play football alongside his brother. All right, let's take a final listen to some of the good news that you've shared with us this week. Katie Strunk-First of Shakopee says, my husband Terry and I receive so much joy watching our three white squirrels who stop by our home to eat at their picnic tables. This is the second picnic table squirrel, and I love it so much. You can just keep sending them, that's fine. If the tables need more food, they just sit in the tree and look down on us. She says they are so much fun to watch.
This is the third instance of seeing these white squirrels. We have one in the Care backyard.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot you said that the other day. Super fun. I love them. They're very cool.
Taking over.
Robert Dixon says on Sunday, our little Molly girl who lives in her Molly world turns 5 and has been the greatest. Has the backyard monitored of all creatures big and small. She is our pretty girl. That is a very pretty dog.
That's a good dog, very photogenic.
Yeah. Janelle Kruger says, on my way to work and happened upon a hen crossing in the crosswalk. It hit me funny. Says maybe she can show all the other wildlife how to cross safely.
Look at that turkey.
Deer, we're talking to you.
Yeah,
right?
Deer never use the crossing sign,
I know.
do they?
I don't know what it is about them. Mike and Cookie LaPlante say our granddaughter Ava graduated from River Falls, Wisconsin. We are so proud of her. She plans on going to Hungary to teach English.
How about that?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And David Weir says, the good news is I'm behind on my chores and I didn't have the bird feeder filled, or destruction would have surely ensued. How about that? Looking for a snack?
Yogi wants some lunch, apparently.
Store's closed.
Goodness. How do you prevent bears from eating all your birds?
You don't.
Just destroying your...
You just don't. Thanks for joining us for Your Good News. If you'd like to share your good news with us, we do it every day at the end of our 4 p.m. newscast. Just send us an email to yourgoodnews@kare11.com and be sure to add pictures or video of what you'd like us to share. New baby in the family, maybe somebody graduated and is going off to college, maybe you beat cancer or just added a new pet to the family. We want to hear about it. And until we see you again, have an excellent week, friends.